Packers beat the Bears at Lambeau 17-9, but it was the Rams surviving Sam Darnold and the San Francisco 49ers, the Rams with Carson Wentz getting that win in order to give us the Green Bay Packers, and you have the Rams taking on Detroit in round one. Choppy, I looked at this as, I think some people are getting a little bit confused. Like Sandler was texting us already this morning. I'm surprised that you guys were that afraid of the Rams. I'm not afraid or terrified of the Rams. I just had a major preference, and I would prefer to face Green Bay versus LA and all their weapons, especially with Stephon Gilmore. This isn't, oh my gosh, the Cowboys dodged near elimination. This isn't total fear and terror. I just am looking for signs of Jimmy Johnson destiny playing out the way it did in some ways for the Texas Rangers, and this is one of those signs to me.
Look, if you play, the Cowboys are better than the Rams, the Cowboys are better than the Packers, the Cowboys are better than the Seahawks, they're better than these teams that they were potentially going to go up against. My issue is that if you play the Rams 100 times, the Rams are beating you more of those opportunities than the Packers are 100 times.
Yes.
So to me, it's not that the Rams are better or that I'd pick the Rams. It's that the Rams have a better shot of giving you the upset than the other teams do. And that's not being afraid of anybody. That's just the reality of they're playing good football lately. They've pushed Baltimore unlike any team has pushed Baltimore in the last several weeks, and they did it on the road. They honestly should have won that game. And so to me, it's just the Rams are playing better than the other teams that you could have gone against.
Yeah, it's like the Cowboys dog walked them when they played them.
Yeah.
I was at that game. It was it wasn't even a contest for much of the game. That doesn't mean that you're scared of them. It's just it's a reality of I'd rather play this team than that team. The Cowboys are a 7. They open at 7.5. It's down to 7 against the Packers. They'd still be 5 over the Rams, 5.5.
Yeah,
somewhere in there, 4.5.
I'll say it actually kind of reeks of insecurity, the way people keep jumping down Broadus's throat or anybody else's when they just say, like, yeah, the Rams are the team I probably wouldn't want to play, where then they start going after Broadus. Broadus will tell you the whole time that he's seen more Europe word on Twitter in the last week for saying he didn't want the Rams than anything else. People have gotten super worked up about that, but it's just a reality of
tough guy mentality.
Yeah, it's a preference thing. That's all it is. It's not that you'd pick the Rams to beat the Cowboys.
We all think that like the Cowboys and Lions on a neutral field are like kind of a coin flip, right? You'd probably maybe slightly favor the Cowboys, but Detroit definitely came in here and made the argument that they were as good or better. So Lions hosting the Rams, you can compare to the Cowboys hosting the Rams. What do you think that spread is? You probably already have it.
I have it. It's 4. I think it's already been bet down to 3.5.
Yeah. I got it at 3 from Bet Online. So 3 compared to 7. There's Vegas. Or 4.5 compared to 7. That's our point.
Yeah, the Cowboys would be favored by, a couple of points over Detroit. Depends on where they are. So even on a neutral field, they'd be favored a little bit. So it's not that much of a delta. Does Vegas have it wrong? BetQL's got the Lions by 6.5 in that game. The Lions should be favored by 6.5 against the Rams. They've got that as a 4-star bet. And the Cowboys, they have as a 2-star bet over Green Bay, because the spread should only be, they say it should be 8.5 versus the 7.5. So it's a little bit different. You're not getting as much for your money. But I think either way, the Cowboys would be favored against everybody in the NFC other than San Francisco.
Yeah.
At home. And on a neutral field. Now, maybe not in Detroit, although I think there's a chance they might be a 1-point favorite in Detroit. Against anybody, they're going to be favored, and they should be.
You want Stafford or Love?
I would rather have a guy making his first start.
Okay, so Jordan Love. Your answer?
Yeah, Love. And it's not that Love's played poorly. Love's played really, really well the last 7-8 weeks or whatever it is.
You want the Rams weapons or the Packers weapons? Nakua setting two rookie records yesterday in that win.
Packers.
You want the Packers weapons. Which defense would you rather face? Is that more of a toss-up?
Green Bay had 5 sacks last against the Fields. I don't know. I don't know what the Rams defense really is.
Yeah, to be honest, I would still probably take the Packers. I don't want to go up against what the Rams can do with their pass rush. And so...
and then McVay, LaFleur.
I'd rather, though that's more of a coin flip.
You both hate McVay.
I don't hate McVay at all. I think McVay's a really good coach. I just think that the idea that he's better than Kyle Shanahan is silly.
I don't.
It's more of a coin flip. I think LaFleur is a really good head coach.
I don't hate him. Just the sun doesn't rise and set in his pants like the media thinks.
Well, when he was passing gas around people and getting them jobs.
Zach Taylor, and most of those guys are fired.
Zach Taylor and Staley. Wasn't Staley with McVay as well?
Staley was with McVay.
Was.
So Sunday at 3:30, Cowboys, Packers in Arlington, 12:30 pregame on this radio station. Hit us up on the truckwreck.com text line at 877-881-1053, 877-881-1053. Let's get to the other story that I assume we're pretty interested in talking and laughing about.
Taylor back to throw. He's under pressure. He escapes to his left now. Pitches it for Slayton. He's to the 10, to the 5, in for the touchdown. Tyrod at the last second just threw it out to Slayton, who was wide open. Darius Slayton's 4th touchdown catch of the season. And with 1:47 to go in the half, the Giants are taking it to the Eagles. It's now 23-0.
Whoa.
Yo.
I'm so mad. I'm so mad that Jalen Hurts got benched and the Eagles went up and put up 10 more points.
You get benched
and we're able.
the wrong way.
This team doesn't know how to lose.
And that they were able to dig out of that negative point differential for the season and finish +5. When it was 24-0, they had a negative point differential for the year. They closed the gap, lose by 17, and finished +5. But still, what a spectacular bunch of losers. That is a bad football team. It's not even a question of like, are they average? Are they middle of the road? Are they not as good as their record says they are? No, the last half of the season, that is a bad football team.
They are the first team in NFL history to start 10-1 or better and not get to 12 wins. And they had an extra game to do it.
They had an extra game to do it.
Had an extra game. I could not believe the meatballs were texting me. 3-0, 10-0, 17-0 with A.J. Brown hurting his knee. And then Jalen Hurts giving the middle finger because it was bent the wrong way. Then the embarrassment, someone tweeted out, man, they're really effing the Eagles with that punter being held up video where the punter tried to flop and draw a penalty, but the New York Giant was holding him up.
He refused to get that flag. He refused to do it.
Yes.
You know what's funny is that the team they've been most compared to, this Eagles team, has probably been, outside of the Philadelphia Crimson Vikings, the team that they've most been compared to pretty frequently is the 2020 Steelers, which started out that year 11-0, and then they end up collapsing. They go 12-4, and they lose in the first round of the playoffs. Even that team, even that Steelers team, was like +110 at the end of the year. Philly has basically, even at 11-6, basically been even with teams in terms of scoring this year, which is pathetic.
Yeah, the difference with that Steelers team, I got to go back and look at that Steelers team. Like, the Eagles beat some good teams in a stretch.
I think this Eagles team was, I knew for a fact that Steelers, we knew
they were frauds.
They were frauds.
We knew for a fact that this team was frauds too.
I can't even get the sentence out. I know he's gonna say
You finished it. You reached a period.
I'm not gonna fight you though. Not gonna fight you on any of them. I'm in too good of a mood. Jay Glazer said that A.J. Brown called a players-only team meeting this week, said they all have to bond together and listen and believe in what the coaches are saying and calling. They were without Devontae Smith in this game, Darius Slay, and DeAndre Swift. And then when they realized they were getting their asses kicked, they waved the white flag. And then let's get Hurts out of here. And by the way, apologies maybe for David Carr. Everyone forgets about that.
I don't even remember what he said.
You don't know what he said?
I don't even remember. I mean, look, I live in a day-to-day world.
We know.
As soon as the day is over,
It's amazing.
I forget everything that happened that day.
You are an expert in compartmentalizing.
Oh, yeah. I'm
You're
a sociopath.
an expert.
Yeah, very much so.
David Carr said maybe they should sit Hurts for Mariota, remember?
Oh, yeah, because he was hurt.
Yeah.
He was banged up at the time, the quad, whatever.
Yeah, he was like
knee.
banged up. Go ahead and play Mariota. Almost got run off of television. And since then, go look at the record. Go look at the numbers. Maybe not the stupidest suggestion in the entire world is now David Carr is getting some of his props. The Eagles 1-5 since Carr almost got canceled for that.
Ooh.
You know what? There's not a lot that David Carr does well. He has me blocked on Twitter.
Great hair.
He's one of a handful of people who have me blocked on Twitter in the media, and he's one of them. But David Carr, he was right on this one. Jalen Hurts is not a real quarterback. Jalen Hurts is not a championship quarterback. He's certainly no Dak Prescott. That's the thing that I'm most excited about in this Eagles collapse, is that the Jalen Hurts Dak discussion last year, which was super premature after 1 year of some smoke and mirrors that has quieted, that has gone down. Yeah, it was a lot of smoke and mirrors, and I think this season showed it.
The poll question is up and filthy. Is Nick Sirianni now in the hot seat as they head into the postseason? Yes, no, wait till after the playoffs. As you would expect in filthy, what do you think the percentage is for yes?
Oh, in Philadelphia, 83%. Yes,
it was 82.5. Well done.
I listened to I listened to their post game show yesterday, and they are idiots. Those hosts are just idiots.
What were they saying?
Oh, that I don't know how you keep this guy around. He does nothing well. I'm like, well, dude, he's been to the playoffs all 3 years as a head coach and the Super Bowl. Like, he does something right.
With a guy that I didn't believe could throw.
Yeah, like, and even if you say, like, those were coordinator-based, he hired those coordinators.
Yeah.
So, like, he obviously can spot a good coordinator. It's just, some people are just dumb. They're trying to be shocky. I get it. Been there.
I don't think you get credit for spotting a good coordinator.
I think you do.
No, I don't.
I think you absolutely. Hang on a second. You're a CEO of a company, and you hire managers and CFOs and CIOs underneath you, and they do great. You get credit for that.
Then it's negligence that he hired a defensive coordinator, had to fire him in the middle of the year and go to Matt Patricia, who was equally as big of a disaster, and that's a bigger discredit than anything he did identifying.
No, I agree with Chop. You get credit for identifying people beneath you and putting them in control. There's a lack of ego thing with it, but we don't have enough time for all that right now. Bobby, I want you to guess the point spread for Eagles-Bucks.
What it should be is Bucks minus 2.5 or something. What it probably is Eagles -3.
It is what I saw from Bet Online. Eagles minus 2.5.
Yeah, it's 2.5. Yeah, I got it at 2.5.
2.5. Mm-hmm. You jumping on that, or are you staying far away?
I'm staying far away. I don't trust. I mean, look, I'm not trusting Tampa.
Yeah.
Who would they win? 9-0?
Ugh.
Yeah, I mean, look,
over Carolina.
Look, there's not a better dream scenario for the Cowboys than if they get the Packers in the first round and then they were to catch the Eagles in the second round.
Or
if
Tampa,
the Rams were to take care of the Lions and you get, I'd much rather play Philly than Tampa. Much rather play Philly than Tampa.
Well, the Cowboys know how to play. That's the thing. It's an uncommon opponent.
Dallas has zero fear of the Eagles, none, and the Buccaneers, they've got weapons.
Buccaneers are.
They do have weapons. No, there's no doubt. Like, they do have weapons. I don't buy them. I ain't sweating Tampa.
The Dallas Cowboys win 38-10. And I know we have a lot of super positive stuff to talk about, and we're going to be super positive most of the way. My quick question, though, about midway through the second quarter, was there any part of you that was like, for F's sake, if the Cowboys screw this game up, I'm going to break something?
Yeah, I think it was the second touchdown that I went, okay, I felt a little comfortable. That was the first time in the entire game that I started to finally feel a little comfortable for the Cowboys. And I know everything kind of ramped up before halftime. And granted, Kevin, how were they in the middle eight this time?
Phenomenal in the middle eight. I'm so glad that you brought that up. Is obviously just outside the middle eight, they scored that touchdown to retake the lead. Then they got the ball back. This was a textbook look at how the middle eight should go. You get the ball last in the second half. I realize, like, Washington took a knee and everything like that. But for realistically, you got the ball last in the second quarter. You score a touchdown. You get the ball first in the second half. They take up almost half the quarter and score a touchdown. So a little bit outside of the middle eight metric. But the point is, you get the ball to end the first half, touchdown. You get the ball first to start the second half, touchdown. So during a time when Washington didn't even really get the ball, it goes from 14-10 to 28-10. Textbook right there.
Yeah, no, I think there were times before that definitely, like, Kevin, the blocked field goal. That made me feel like we were going into liquidation.
Yeah.
That made me feel like there was a definite insolvency of some sort. But after that, then Dak throws the interception, and I was like, oh my gosh, this could definitely be a loss, a disaster, if you will, default, if you will. And so I was like, listen, man, this thing's going to be okay, though. They got it back in order. And for me, Kevin, I think there was a lot of the way that the offense just looked forward and kept go back and watch the way that they played. Everything was forward. Nothing was side to side. Nothing was, let's go back into the backfield a little bit to make this happen. There was an aggressive, we are going to set this from here on. We're not going to let this one slip away. And once they got through those bad parts of it, it was a bad part of the game. It all like fell into place for them there. And it was a lot of because of the way that they approached it, the way that they were looking at it. They didn't go into this game going, it's going to be easy. We just got to get through it. They went into this game saying, we want to win this game for a purpose.
From the 254, no, not even for a moment. My friend texted me in the second quarter and said they were starting to worry. And I said, you don't need to worry about this game. Look.
Losers lose.
That's a good point. So were you not? I'll admit I was worried, especially because like you had seen the block field goal. And that was something that like no one could touch all year. And then I thought, oh God, is this all going to crash down today?
I will say, I thought, wow, the Cowboys aren't going to blow them out. I did think midway through the second quarter, oh man, the Cowboys are going to have to kind of battle to win this game. And obviously, by the time we got to the fourth quarter, I was like, why the hell is Dak Prescott still out there? Are we trying to ruin the playoffs? Now, maybe that's another topic for another segment.
No, that's a fair question.
But I did think this. When Washington, I believe, kicked the field goal to go up 10-7, I'm sorry, I'm forgetting who did it. One of our guys was standing right next to the field goal kicker and missed the block.
He overran him.
Yeah,
yes.
Like, it went underneath his armpit where he ran past the ball, and it did go in. So you're thinking, gosh, they block our field goal. We are literally standing right next to the field goal kicker when he kicks the ball, and we whiff on it. And then it is 10-7 Washington. And all I thought there was, the concern was, oh man, maybe the Cowboys are going to have to win this game 24-20 or something like that, and we're not going to feel good about the win. You're going to go, gosh, they won, but man, this is 4 weeks in a row they haven't played good football. Instead, at the end, they destroyed them. And then my concern was, and so was my father's, is why the crap is all of our good players in right now? Like, what are we doing? And so luckily, it didn't hurt us, and nobody got hurt. But when you're up 31-10 with about 14 minutes to go, or it might have been 35-10. I think it was 35-10.
It was.
You're like, we don't feel comfortable with a 25-point lead. We feel that bad with putting in reserves. But
is it more about like feeling bad, like feeling like you're going to lose the game, or I haven't quite seen everything I want to see yet? I don't know what the coach's decision on that is. I really don't know.
I think that in football, there's a panic of, even if we're up 48-0, somehow we're going to screw this thing up if I put in Cooper Rush and Jalen Tolbert and who's number 83 that stinks.
Brooks?
Yeah.
He didn't stink.
He drew a penalty. It was definitely a penalty.
But I understand that the idea of
he'll be good next
we're going
year.
to take our guys out and all of a sudden they're making a run and now we got to put them back in for, a series or whatever, like the concern there. But, get Dak and CD off the field, get Mike off the field, and probably DeMarcus Lawrence. And I'm feeling like, all right, get those guys off because
Is that what you were thinking late
Get
in
them
the
off
game,
of
Corey?
the field, Kevin.
Is that? I mean, look, we were all having a great
Alex,
time.
Heads up on that one for Friday at 2:30ish.
1:30.
1:30.
1:30, Mike. You've been on the show for like 4 years.
Oh man, it is 1:30, Mike.
Oh well, Eastern time.
Yeah,
I was talking about Eastern time.
That's the least of my concerns at this point. I understand everybody freaks out about that in the moment, and we probably want the guys off the field a lot faster than coaches do, or even players do. For that respect.
The question gets asked, didn't Gilmore get hurt? This was specifically before the time period that Mike was talking about. And if you listen to Stephon Gilmore in the postgame, he's like, yeah, my shoulder came out. They just popped it back in. I'm good to go.
Yeah, good, because we need you. We need you in the playoffs, man. Like that's got to happen. And there's sometimes in some of these games where I see guys, I'm like, did that really get hurt? And they're just like trying to get out of this game early and be the first one off the field today because they don't want to be out there. That wasn't the case for Gilmore.
And the great thing is Sam Howell remembered who he was in the second half. That's a horrible starting quarterback.
So it's funny that you say that because I know one of Corey's bold predictions that I was like, oh, this is happening for sure, was 3 interceptions. And
when you went back to me and said, you said 3, right? I was going to say 3 turnovers is good enough. And they did get their 3 turnovers, and they got 4 sacks. I think I said 3 interceptions, 3 sacks.
I thought for sure you were going to pick up interception number 3.
I did too.
And so I was tracking that, and I was like, I was super excited about that. I thought there was a lot of positives. Look, I will point out, and this is very fair, I don't think Washington is a good football team. But
destitute.
I agree. But there were things in this game that I thought were encouraging going into the playoffs. I thought most of the day Tony Pollard looked encouraging.
That's the going forward part I'm talking about. Him and Ferguson, man.
Especially last week when you're like, what the hell is this? I thought he looked solid. I thought our offensive line, obviously against for a variety of reasons, very different Washington defensive front. I thought they looked good. I thought Bass and Hoffman looked shockingly good out there. And so that makes me feel a little bit better about injury.
Were you concerned when you saw that Zach Martin wasn't playing?
For sure. Look, when we go back to, I know a lot of people on the text, truckwreck.com text line 877-881-1053 are saying they weren't concerned. Zach Martin is ill. He can't play. The field goal streak gets broken by a blocked kick. We run past a blocked field goal that we should have had. It's just things started to pile up that I was like, what the hell is happening?
Can I ask you this, though? At that moment, about halfway or getting close to halftime, halfway through the second quarter, close to halftime, were you less concerned because it was 17-0 in New York?
No, because that's a really good question. I was not less concerned because then that drops you down to the number 3 seed.
Okay.
And so you would have had to go theoretically on the road against Detroit. Look, I feel like I've been pretty consistent
we get
about
the calls
this.
against Detroit, baby. We know that.
Okay, well,
here
we do.
The NFL does not want Detroit to make it to the conference finals.
Is the Cowboys win at home. And I was like, if you're telling me the past set up that you got to beat San Francisco eventually, you figure that whenever. But you get 2 theoretical home games if you keep winning and get back in the NFC Championship game. To me, that was the only path for this to be a good playoff.
I did, Mike. I was looking at it, and there was part of me that, and this is all the compartmentalization of it all. Like, I was looking at it going, okay, yeah, that's good. I feel comfortable that at least you're going to win the East, and that's okay. But it was the part that just wanting to see the team look good. Not just kind of roll over and be like, oh well, what happened? I want to see them have some pride in themselves, man. Go out there and kick somebody's butt because you can. Do it because you want to. And that's what I wanted to see from this team, and they did it. They ultimately did that. And Kevin, I think my favorite pass of the day from Dak Prescott was the touchdown to CeeDee Lamb in the back of the end zone, because you saw a quarterback who felt comfortable understanding what he was doing. But the more important thing is, in the middle of a play, he directs CeeDee Lamb, looks off of him, goes right back to him, and delivers the touchdown. This is the thing that Aaron Rodgers was talking about.
Is that the 7.5 second play?
I think so. Maybe so. And he has to move around a little bit, and he moves him. He just tells him, go this way. He looks over, comes back to him, hit him, bam. And that's what Aaron Rodgers was saying. It's not just he's making the throws. He's playing quarterback. He schooled a player on that play. That dude thought, hey, he's looking elsewhere. I don't have to rush on CeeDee Lamb right now. CeeDee gets just enough space. Dak Prescott's playing his best football at the moment, I think.
There was a lot of positive things from yesterday's game. I really do think that, and it really does give me a renewed sense of confidence going into the playoffs, partially because you locked in the number 2 seed. But also, Mike, you've talked about this a lot. You look like maybe not your best football the last 3 weeks. Against a not good team, this looked a lot closer to your best football. And I did see somebody say, this is one of the worst teams in football, if not the worst. I can't say, meaning Washington.
Good.
I can't say they are the worst because Carolina exists.
Philadelphia.
And if you want, that's a good point too. If you want to go check out Philadelphia and Carolina from yesterday, I might argue some there, but no doubt Washington is not a good team. But you went on the road and you beat them down.
Yeah, you got rid of them. You moved on from them very quickly. Yeah, then that's what you expected to do. The connection between CeeDee Lamb looks like it's still full bore there. The connection with Cooks looks like it just continues to grow and flourish.
Indeed.
And how much of that benefits because CeeDee Lamb is what CeeDee Lamb is, and that gives Brandon Cooks a really good, talented receiver all this open space to work with, or a one-on-one that he gets to fight through.
Well, the Cowboys finished off the regular season as the champs of the East.
Yep.
And this team does go down as the best team in Cowboys history at destroying below average opponents. Like
I think you're right about that.
In our lifetime, maybe obviously there was a Roger Staubach team that I don't remember or recall, but every time the Dallas Cowboys, I guess I shouldn't say every time, Arizona, almost every time they played a below average team, they blew them out. It wasn't even a competitive game. And once again, the Cowboys against below average teams just completely destroy them in the 60 minutes.
I really love this note, Kevin, in the Cowboys notes yesterday. Dallas's 4 sacks today, where it's most since 4 sacks against Washington on Thanksgiving Day.
Yeah.
It's just like, hey, Washington, we know we get to feast every time we're up against you.
They had a whole string of 1-sack games in between. And
I'm gonna miss that. When Ron Rivera's gone, since it happened today. And now that they're hiring the Golden State GM to come in here and
maybe Mark Jackson will be their head coach.
Maybe so.
Know what? Maybe, Mike.
It's going to be a new era for them. They've relinquished all their old debts. Now they're moving forward with this one, and I'm very excited for that for them.
Tell you what,
but it's going to be difficult for us.
And they're probably to end this. They're probably going to get a North Carolina quarterback. And as we know, North Carolina quarterbacks dominate in the NFL.
How's
the guy who played basketball and baseball in the early mid 2000s? He was awesome. Was his last name Curry or something? You don't remember who I'm talking about? He was horrible.
No, I don't remember who you're talking about.
It probably wasn't Curry. It was, I can't remember. We'll look up Trubisky.
We will not.
Tremendous.
You can look it up.
How has your opinion of Dak Prescott changed this year? Leave your name and city or texting from at 877-881-1053. The final numbers are in. I do believe it's by far the best season of his career, even though the efficiency numbers aren't the best. They're close enough to it. I'm going to give them the nod here for 2023. The final number, 69. That's his completion percentage. 45-16 passing yards. 36 TDs. We'll hear more about those TDs coming up in a TD Tuesday at 6. Just 9 picks. 12-5 record. Josh from Caddo Mill says Dak's year was one of his best. With how horrible the running game was, to carry the offense as well as he did under 10 picks was special. How many were tipped? Not sure if he's the MVP, but he is hands down the best leader in the league. I think that matters. You lead the NFL in touchdowns. That matters. Second in interception rate. All that's great. I could see him being the MVP. I think he's close enough that if he was the MVP with this statistical profile, I would definitely, not have a big fight with it, Brian.
What was his signature win?
I don't know. Philadelphia? Detroit?
If you look at what was the signature win for the guy in Baltimore?
They had a few, but it would be the 49ers. Yeah. But they had a bunch of them. They were blowing out teams with above, 500 records all season.
Voters are going to look at this and they're going to say, what were the signature wins? How many wins did he have against playoff teams? I think it was 6 for our guy at the Ravens, 3 for Dak.
Yeah.
Is what they're going to do.
And I can see it going to Lamar.
Yeah.
And Dak had better signature wins in 2016 as well, which I think was, the previous best year of his career.
Sure. Not the numbers.
Yeah.
Probably the number, but this one I think was more on him having to carry this team the way he did because of the lack of the running game. In 16, he had a 1,600-yard back.
Yeah, and a great protection.
Yeah.
I mean, he was under pressure with no running game and had a legit all-pro season.
The thing with the Ravens, that guy has no CeeDee Lamb. That's something you'd have to think about too, voting.
No, he doesn't. But I mean, he has.
They drafted Zay
some
Flowers,
good weapons.
Odell Beckham
Jr.,
Shad Bateman,
They
also first rounder.
Yeah, they don't have a CeeDee Lamb.
They don't have a CeeDee Lamb, but he's got some weapons that are pretty good.
Yeah,
I think at this point, I would rather. Would I rather have Lamar Jackson than Dak Prescott? I don't know. It's very, very close. But if you want to vote for Lamar for MVP, I'm not going to fight you on that.
Yeah.
At 877-881-1053. The last couple of years, as Dak Prescott was playing, coming off of the injury, maybe playing with a bad offensive line, a suspect running game, his total QBR, which is a much better way of evaluating a total quarterback's performance than the old passer rating, it dropped to 60 59.3 was one in recent years, which is not that much better than average. And the line gets old and the running game dries up, and I'm thinking that's what we're going to get if you don't surround Dak with good protection, good running game. Well, he made me eat crow this year. He surprised me. I think we're getting late in the performance improvement timeline. You know, like once you're around 30 years old, a lot of quarterbacks have already played their best football. This is a year, and I don't know, I think you give some to Dak, but I think a lot of it as well is the coaches around here have not been paying much attention. He finally got the blessing here of the bye week of a game plan that gives him a better chance to be efficient. And I think we saw hopefully the first 10 games or so of this Cowboys offensive game planning room going in that direction and continuing to give Dak that moving on into the future. And it's got to be incredibly bullish. He's not running a lot. You know, like what about what he's just done is not sustainable? You know, obviously you can get better skill players. You're going to get a better running back. Maybe you get a better wide receiver too. Jake Ferguson's going to get better. I mean, I think this is the year that Dak showed, hey, I am a guy that maybe does not need great surroundings to play at an all-pro level. It's just 1 year. But could he do it again? And if he does, I mean, holy cow. You know, maybe the MVP or two is in the future here, Brian.
Where do you guys fall on the play caller as opposed to the previous play caller?
I think the post-bye week, this is the most help Dak Prescott's ever received from his play caller and play designer.
Post-bye, absolutely. But I think a lot of that is because of the quarterback and wide receiver going to head coach and saying this is not working. What you're doing in your offense is not working. So coach deserves credit for adapting and changing and not being stubborn.
Right.
But I think Dak Prescott also knew that the narrative this offseason of him needing to limit the interceptions, we've got to go ahead and simplify the offense, we've got to play inside of a 10-yard box, that was overblown and overcorrected, and we need to get back to pushing the ball down the field, and he ended the season having the most vertical passing touchdowns of any quarterback in the NFL.
Wow. Hell of a year. And, you know, I think you had quite a few people that were doubting him, and maybe we've seen the end of that.
I kind of feel like that McCarthy and Kellen Moore are the same type of play callers. I do. I feel like the quarterback made the difference in this one. I think the quarterback, I don't see, I see the ball, you know, say going down the field. We kind of saw it. You see different route combinations and stuff like that. I think Dak Prescott got better. I don't know if the play caller got that much better. I feel like we saw great numbers with Kellen Moore. You know,
still stayed number one in scoring offense.
I think Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb got better.
Yes,
and that made Mike McCarthy what we think is a better play caller than Kellen Moore. I think Kellen Moore put up some huge numbers. I think Dak's just gotten better. You know, and I think CeeDee's gotten better.
I think CeeDee's definitely gotten beber, but I would disagree on Dak. I think Dak has been this level of good. Now, he ran the more times this season than he has since 2019, and it was his best yards per attempt running the football that we've seen since 2020, which was the small sample size he got hurt that year. But so the legs of Dak Prescott came alive again. We haven't seen that in a couple of years, but we've discussed needing somebody who can help you from a coaching standpoint. And you were going into Buffalo, you were saying, I believe in this offense. I believe what this coach is doing. Despite all the feelings you have about Mike McCarthy that you've had for a while, I believe in what this offense is doing. Yeah. I don't remember you when Kellen Moore was out here calling plays saying that. I don't think that was the case. Like we've all seen the tangible difference. Now, there was a 6-week run after the bye where it was just like, oh my gosh, they're hitting all the right notes. This is all just working beautiful. Then Buffalo happened and the offense has changed a little bit.
My mistake.
But you're still getting a lot of help from Mike McCarthy by and large, more so than he's ever gotten in his entire career. We've seen Dak put up good numbers. Yeah. We've seen all these things. So what has changed about Dak other than his wide receiver became a legit number one guaranteed? He might be the best in the league.
The turnovers.
I think a lot of that.
That's last year's turnovers were the outlier.
The mistake.
He's always been a non-turnover
it's
guy.
Pre and post snap recognition for me is where he's taken the biggest step.
And maybe his coaches helped him with that with some of the design.
The biggest mistake is I should have said I believe in the offense because of Dak Prescott. That's where I should have said it. I said I believe in the offense. I believe in the routes and the combinations and stuff. Give Mike credit. I'm just saying though, I think the quarterback is the one that after what happened in San Francisco is the one that says we're not doing this anymore.
Agreed.
I think it's the quarterback that made the difference here.
But weren't they saying we did the across the room thing and the defensive coaches came over here and were like, "Hey, you guys are too easy to defend"?
I think is true. I think Mike McCarthy listened to his coaches. I think he listened to the players. But I feel like, to me, the mistake I made, and you're absolutely right for calling me out on that, but I feel like, though, to me, I should have said, I believe in this quarterback. That's what I should have said.
The 214 says footwork is the answer. I think without a doubt the play design has changed. Are we giving Dak at this point credit for changing the offense?
I think Coach McCarthy deserves credit.
He does deserve credit. He absolutely does. But I feel like, though, we saw similar type numbers.
Oh, yeah, they were the number one scoring offense with Kellen Moore. They're the number one scoring offense this year. So the constant here is your quarterback, but certainly the play design and being able to create some separation for your wide receivers, we've seen some differences.
The growth of CeeDee Lamb is what's made this offense great, in my opinion, too. The growth,
yes, but how much does an offensive coaching staff get credit for all those details that add up to you now being unguardable?
They absolutely should get credit because they're moving them around. I'm just saying, though, the player itself, like we've learned now. What did McCarthy learn after the Dolphins game? I can't go 2 quarters without throwing him the ball.
Yeah,
the last 2 weeks he's thrown it to him 17 times and 13 times.
I'm with you on that. CeeDee Lamb took his game to an entire other level.
Yeah.
Okay, 972, I loved eating crow on Dak, and I ate it with no sauce. It tasted very good. Hopefully that happens with McCarthy. Okay. I think option routes went away, which increased consistency and confidence, says the 480. 940, Dak and your wide receiver got better. We aren't going to give that credit to the coaching change. I think,
No, Mike deserves credit here. I'm just saying, though, to me, the offense under Kellen Moore did have They scored at a high rate. They had numbers.
They had huge issues. We know about huge issues that
they had issues right now. They don't run the ball great.
For sure. That's been an issue for them this year.
Yeah.
But we haven't come in here once this year complaining about, oh my gosh, there's just stop routes again. High leverage moments. We know what they're going to do, and the defense knows it too. And after the game, the Jets players saying, yeah, we knew what they were going to be doing the whole time. Yeah. You didn't see that. And McCarthy has his issues. I'm not Mr. McCarthy guy.
Yeah.
But his offense, what changed at the bye week? Say whatever you want. Maybe it was Dak's idea, but it wasn't Dak changing. It was what we're doing as an offense is going to change. And that is what Dak has needed his entire career. He's had good players at times. He's had really great offensive lines. He's had a great offense, a great rushing attack. He's had a great defense from time to time. Okay. What has he not had? A play caller that knew what he was doing. And for the most part, Mike McCarthy has known what he's doing from a offensive design, how to attack it. I mean, the play action passing, the motion, throwing on early downs.
How do you count for the numbers?
They were blowing out terrible teams for the entire duration of Kellen Moore.
The numbers were because of Dak. And I said that when they let go of Kellen Moore. Dak Prescott made Kellen Moore look good. And that's why you're seeing Kellen Moore searching for a job.